Everybody, and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet this super cute whale. Now the materials you're going to need for this little flat bottomed fella. You're going to need two colours of yarn, the colour for the main body of the whale and then white for his belly. I recommend using Signet Chunky acrylic yarn purely because it's a fantastic all-rounder for amigurumi. You're also going to need a crochet hook. I am going to be using a 4mm crochet hook for my amigurumi. Now you ignore all the rules for amigurumi and hook sizing. Always use a hook that is smaller than your yarn recommends so your stitches stay nice and tight. You're also going to need a pair of scissors, a large eye darning needle for attaching the fins and the tail, or you can use one of these large eye plastic ones depending on the thickness of your yarn. You're going to need a tiny scrap of pink for his little blushy cheeks. You're going to need some 12mm safety eyes. A stitch marker is crucially important for knowing where the beginnings of the rounds are, so I definitely advise a stitch marker of sorts. And you are, of course, going to need an absolute ton of stuffing. All right, let's leap straight into how you crochet this little whale. 4 things before we start. You need to know how to do a magic ring. And you need to know how to do the single crochet stitch. If you don't know how to do either of those things, I have linked to videos that go super slowly in the description box down below. So make sure you check those out and then come back before we start crocheting the whale. You're also going to need to know that an increase is simply 2 single crochet stitches into the same place. The last thing you're going to have to do is count. Counting is crucial for amigurumi. At the end of each round, just double check to make sure you have the right amount of stitches. If you don't, frog it back and work out where you went wrong. If you don't have the right number of stitches, that can affect the shaping. All right, let's begin. First off, we're going to make his tiny little side fins. So we're going to start with a magic ring, and into that magic ring, we're going to place 6 single crochet stitches. Once you have your 6 stitches, close up that magic ring, but don't pull it all the way tight. For round 2, place a single crochet in the first of your 6 stitches. You can count them back if that's easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pop a single crochet into that first stitch. Then mark it with your stitch marker. You can go ahead and close up that magic ring now. Now increase into the next stitch, and an increase is 2 single crochet into the very same place. Single crochet in the next, increase in the stitch after that. One more time, single crochet in the next, increase in the last stitch. You'll have 9 single crochet for round 2. My magic ring, I didn't pull it tight enough. There we go, that's better. For round 3, we're going to place a single crochet in each one of those 9 stitches you just made. So that's 1, mark that first stitch, and place a single crochet in the remaining 8 stitches. Your little side fin should be curving around. If it is popped out this way and your magic tail is on the outside, just flick it around. The tail from your magic ring should always be on the inside of your work. For round 4, single crochet in the next stitch and mark it. Then decrease over the next 2 stitches. You don't need to worry about doing invisible decreases or anything like that. These are just the side fins. So go ahead and pop your hook into the first stitch and draw up a loop, and then pop your hook into the next stitch and draw up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Go ahead and yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That is your first decrease. Single crochet in the next stitch, then decrease over the next 2. Pop your hook in, draw up a loop, go into the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. One more time, single crochet in the next, then decrease over your final 2 stitches. You should have 6 stitches in total for round 4. Now grab your scissors, leave a tail long enough because we'll need this for sewing your little side fin to your whale. Cut your yarn, pull your hook out, push that tail back into the center of your fin and squash it flat. That's your first little side fin complete. Go ahead and make one more and then place it to the side. Now we're going to crochet the tail. Just like before, make a magic ring, and into that magic ring, place 6 single crochet stitches. Draw the ring closed, but not all the way. Round 2 is an increase round, so into each one of these 6 stitches you just made, we're going to place an increase. And an increase is 2 single crochet in the same stitch. So by the end of round 2, you will have 12 single crochet stitches. So into this very first stitch here, place an increase. That's 1, that's 2, and mark your first stitch. You can go ahead and close up that magic ring at the back now. Then place an increase in the remaining 5 stitches. For round 3, you're going to place a single crochet in each one of those 12 stitches you just made for another round of 12 stitches. For round 4, place a single crochet in that very first stitch and mark it. Then place a single crochet in the next. Decrease over the next 2 stitches. Repeat this 2 more times, single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. You should have 9 stitches at the end of this row. Remember to make sure the tail is on the inside of your work. For round 5, we're going to place a single crochet in each one of those 9 stitches you just made. For round 6, single crochet in the next stitch, then decrease. Repeat that 2 more times. Single crochet, decrease, single crochet, decrease. You should have 6 stitches remaining. Then just like before, grab your scissors, leave a length of yarn because we'll need this to sew to the whale's body. Snip it, pull it through, fold it flat and make one more tail section. So those are the tricky bits out of the way. Now to crochet the whale himself. So we're going to be starting with the main colour, top down. So whatever colour you're choosing your whale to be, that's the colour we're starting off with. And with that colour, just as before, we're going to start with a magic ring and 6 single crochet. Pull the ring closed, but not super tight. So round 2 is an increase round. We're going to place 2 single crochet in each one of those stitches that you just made for a total of 12 stitches. So make your first increase in the first stitch. Mark that first stitch. And then place an increase in the remaining 5 stitches of the round. you can go ahead and tighten up that magic ring now. For round 3, place a single crochet in that very first stitch. Mark it. Then place an increase in the next stitch. Single crochet in the next, then increase. Repeat this sequence all the way around, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, for a total of 18 stitches. For round 4, we're going to start with a single crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. So single crochet, mark that stitch, then single crochet in the next, 1, 2, then increase. Single crochet, increase. Repeat that all the way around, single crochet, increase, and you'll have 24 stitches at the end of round 4. For round 5, you're going to start with a single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So 1, mark that first one, 2, 3, then increase. 1, 2, 3, then increase. Repeat this all the way around and you will have 30 stitches at the end of round 5. So single crochet in the next 3 stitches, then increase all the way around. For round 6, we're going to do 4 single crochets, then an increase all the way around, single crochet in the next 4, then increase in that 5th stitch. Don't forget to always mark the very first stitch of your round, just in case you lose track or get distracted. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, then increase in that 5th stitch. Repeat that all the way around and you will have 36 stitches at the end of row 6. For round 7, we're going to start with 5 single crochet, then an increase. So single crochet in 5 stitches, increase in the 6th. That is what you're going to repeat all the way around. 5 single crochet, then increase. You will have a total of 42 stitches by the end of round 7. Don't forget to mark the first of those 5 single crochet. There's my 1, pop your stitch marker in. 2, 3, 4, 5, then increase. 5 single crochet, increase all the way around for 42 stitches in total. For round 8 is our last increase round. And for this, we're going to put a single crochet in the first 6 stitches before we increase. So there's 1, mark that stitch. Do I need to tell you this for every round? I'm not sure if I do, but there we go. Mark the first stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then increase. Do that all the way around, 6 single crochet, then increase, and you will have 48 stitches by the end of round 8. Now for rows 9 all the way through to 16, so row 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, so the next 8 rows, we are simply going to place a single crochet into each one of these 48 stitches that you just made. So we're going to go single crochet in every stitch all the way around 8 times. You'll start to form a sort of bucket shape like this. So you're going to want your stitch marker, single crochet, mark that first stitch, round 9. Single crochet in the remaining 47 stitches, then move up to round 10, which you do exactly the same thing. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and on row 16, don't complete the very last stitch of the row because we're going to change colour. So you go ahead and I will go ahead and we can both crochet 8 rows of 48 single crochet and meet me back on the very last stitch of row 16. So I'm just finishing up round 16 and we're going to change colour on the very last stitch of this round. So stop before that very last single crochet, which for me would be here. You should have a sort of bucket shape going on. Remember, the inside of your work has the tail. So if your tail is hanging out on the outside of your work, just flip it around so you have the right side facing. Now in this next stitch, you're going to be changing colour to white or cream, but that does not show up very well on camera. So for my little chap, I'm going to be changing to light grey. But what you're after is a white belly. So to change colour in this last stitch, go ahead and start your single crochet. Pop your hook in and draw up a loop. Then stop at that stage. Grab your new colour. For you, white or cream. For me, this rather bizarre combination of pink and grey. Pop a loop over your hook and draw this new colour through those 2 loops on your hook. Then we are done with the main whale colour. So you can snip your yarn, leave a bit of a tail, and get rid of that pink. And then with the tail from your new colour and the tail from your old colour, pop a knot, just a little double knot. And we can leave those tails hanging in the body. So you've changed to your belly colour, hopefully a white or a cream. And for round 17, we're going to repeat what you've been doing from rounds 9 to 16. So place 1 single crochet in each of these 48 stitches. For round 18, we are going to be working into the back loop only of these stitches. Now, if you look at your stitch, it is like a little V, and normally we place our hook underneath both loops of that. There is a front loop and there is the back loop. So we're going to ignore the front loop for this entire round, and we're only going to work into the back loop only. And into the back loop only of these single crochets in the row below, place 6 single crochets to begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now go back and mark the first stitch of this round. You'll see you're forming a little ridge by working into the back loop only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my first stitch. I'm going to mark it. Now decrease, just a standard decrease, but working into the back loops only. So go into the back loop, pull up a loop, go into the next stitch, back loop only, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. 6 single crochet, decrease all the way around, working into the back loop only, and you'll have 42 stitches by the end of this round. For row 19 and all the remaining rows, we're going back to working under both loops of the stitch as normal, and we will also be doing invisible decreases from this point on. So for row 19, we're going to start with 5 single crochet stitches. So that's 1, mark that stitch. 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to do an invisible decrease. Now, an invisible decrease is we're going to go under the front loop of the first stitch and under the front loop of the next stitch. Then yarn over, pull through both those 2 front loops and complete your single crochet as normal. That's an invisible decrease. I'll show you one more time. So 5 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then invisible decrease. Go under the front loop of the next stitch, the front loop of the stitch after that. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through those 2 loops and complete your single crochet. Do this all the way around and you'll have 36 stitches at the end of row 19. So 5 single crochet, invisible decrease. For round 20, we're going to do 4 single crochet, then an invisible decrease. So 1, 2, 3, 4, mark your first stitch, then invisible decrease. 4 single crochet, invisible decrease, all the way around, and you will have 30 stitches by the end of this row. Now pull up a loop and pop your stitch marker into that loop, just so that stitch won't unravel. You can see that ridge from the back loop only is forming the flat base. Now grab your tails. They are a bit longer than your fins. So your fins are the short stubby ones. Tails are the longer ones. So tails we want to work with first, and grab your needle. Now find where we changed colour from pink to grey. Yours will be more obvious if you have changed to white. You can't really see it on this one, sort of here, because we're going to attach the tail at this colour change point. So here at the back. Grab your first tail and thread your needle. Now flatten the tail if you haven't already, and you want this edge to be on the edge, this final stitch where your tail comes from, on the edge. So you want 3 stitches on this side and 3 stitches on this side. Don't need to be too exact, just flatten it, roll it across if you have to, but you want to flatten it at this point. Now we're going to sew it vertically up the back of the whale. And you're aiming for cover up this colour change point here. So we're sewing vertically up the side of the whale. At this colour change point, come under the stitch, then catch the loop on one side of the tail and the loop on the other side, going under the stitches. Then move along under one side, under the next side, so I'm catching both stitches, and move up a stitch. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. You don't need to worry too much about neatness. And then again under a stitch, And this one's harder to find. You crush it, find it at the back. So you're sewing through both sides, again through some stitches, going up the wale. Then go ahead and neaten your sewing up a little bit. If you want to catch some more loops, you can. And then run it. I've just rotated. Run this back down to the bottom. And catch the side of this tail here. And come in and out the back of your work. Now do exactly the same thing with your other tail piece and sew it as close to this first one as you can. Line them up and start again. Come right in next to where you did your first tail and sew it on. So you should have two little tail pieces. And then on the inside, you've got your tails from where you change colour. You've got your two tails from your tail fin. Bring this up to meet and knot these two tails securely on the inside. If you want to trim these tails, you can, but it's not important. So that is your little tail attached. So now we're going to add the safety eyes. So grab a needle or something that you can mark a stitch with and follow this line from where you join the tail in a straight line up and over and shove something in to his face through a stitch. So you have roughly marked the front of his face. Do it that way so you can see. So follow that line and shove something that gives you a guide into the front of his face. Now we're going to add the eyes, not on this grey row, but you've got 2 rows above of your main body colour. We're going to place them not in this row, but in this row here. So the next one up from where you change colour and you have this ridge between rows 15 and 16. Now with that vague centre point, we're going to use that as a guide and we're going to count 8 stitches back, including this one that you've marked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then place your eye in the next stitch along. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then eye. Repeat that on the other side. So your eyes will be roughly 16 stitches apart-ish. You don't need to be too precise. You just want a really wide gap of about 16 stitches. You can go ahead and take that spear out of his face because you want the eyes to be on the side, not right in the middle. So they're going to be wide apart. Once you're happy with the placement, and if you want, you can gently sort of turn him to the side to make sure the eyes are on the side. go ahead and pop the safety backs on. Now we can add the blush, so grab your pink blush colour. And we're going to place the blush one stitch back from the eye, just going across. If I lift this blush up, we're just going to skip one in between. So come up one stitch behind the eye in the row below. So you've got your eye on this row, come up on this colour change row. Leave a tail on the inside. Skip a stitch and go back in on the next. Easy peasy. With your tail on the inside, make a little knot. Then repeat on the other side of your whale. One stitch back in the row below, skip a stitch, go in on the next. Then knot it on the inside. Then grab your smaller fins. With your first fin, just as before, thread up your needle, squash it flat and line up the tail with the edge of the fin. Again, we're going to be going through 3 stitches on each side, sewing together as we go. And the little side fins are not sewn on vertically as the tail were, they're sewn on horizontally. Now you want to aim for them to be 1 stitch-ish back from the blush. So we're sewing these ones on horizontally, just the same way as we did the tail, just in a different direction. So we're going to line it up, a stitch back from the blush, and go ahead and sew it on just as before. Then once you're happy with the placement and that it's nice and secure, we're going to go ahead and run this under a couple of the back loops of the stitches so you can't see it on the other side, and then make a knot. Do that a couple of times. And once it's securely on, repeat on the other side the exact same way. All right, face, fins, tail, complete. So you can go ahead and pop this loop back onto your hook. For round 21, we're going to start with 3 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3. Mark the first stitch. Then invisible decrease. Continue this around 3 single crochet, invisible decrease, all the way round, and you'll have 24 stitches at the end of round 21. For row 22, we're going to start with 2 single crochet, then invisible decrease. And you're going to do that all the way around, 2 single crochet, invisible decrease, for a total of 18 stitches. Now pull your loop up and pop your stitch marker into that loop so we don't lose it. And now it's time to grab your stuffing. So when stuffing your whale, you want all the stuffing in his head, not on this flat base. So you want to shape as much as you can, get all the stuffing into his noggin and try and keep this belly as flat as possible. He'll take more stuffing than you think he will. A lot of his shaping comes in this final stuff, so make sure you take your time. So as you can see, I'm stuffing and smoothing and shaping him as I go by squidging the stuffing where I want it to be and pushing it right up into the top of his big fat head. So once you're happy with his shape and you are ideally keeping the base as flat as possible, you can see I've really stuffed it solid in there. One final tweak. Okay, we're ready to begin the last 2 rounds. Go ahead and pop that loop back on your hook. For round 23, you're going to place 1 single crochet, then invisible decrease. 1 single crochet, invisible decrease, all the way around, and you'll have 12 stitches remaining. These last 2 rows are pretty tricky, and you want to try and keep the stuffing in the head as much as possible so he has a flat belly. So go slowly on these last 2 rounds. 1 single crochet, then invisible decrease. 12 stitches remaining at the end of row 23. For round 24, you are going to do an invisible decrease 6 times to end with 6 stitches. Once you've finished your final stitch, leave a long tail for weaving in, snip it, pull that loop through, then grab your large eye needle, thread it up. So we're going to weave our needle through these 6 front loops of those remaining 6 stitches. So just pop your needle under the front loop of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then pull it to cinch it closed. Whoop, like that. Gone. It's magic. Then, with this remaining tail, hook it down into your wale and come up somewhere else on the belly. Now we're going to weave in this tummy tail. I like to try and mirror the stitches we've already made. So just pop in, go and pop out somewhere else. So I'm following the line of my stitches so you can't see where I'm doing my sewing. And same again, come under here and come out somewhere else. Once you're happy that you've woven in your end enough, pull it taut, snip the yarn, and the end should fling back into the body. And your little squidgy wale friend is complete. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you go on to make happy little flat-bottomed wale friends of your own. Please do let me know in the comment section down below what you think of these guys. And if you found this video helpful, please do give me a thumbs up. So until next time, happy crocheting!